He's up for further sanctions on Russia, further pressure on Putin. Let's try and convert the rather simple American ideas, sketchy American ideas, into something that will be workable and that will put the pressure on Russia and not have collateral damage on European countries.
The news conference came, the news conference went. There were no very serious disagreements. There were no very difficult moments. He didn't advance American policy on any of the big background questions, especially either, which might be a disappointment to people. But then again, realistically, did anyone really think that was going to happen? Well, I'm going to talk now about that to Peter Ricketts, a former national security advisor. During that news conference, Donald Trump, there he was celebrating the 7 conflicts that he says he's solved since coming in. The one in Ukraine, though, had apparently evaded him.
The one that I thought would be easiest would be because of my relationship with President Putin, but he's let me down. He's really let me down. It was going to be Russia and Ukraine, but we'll see how that turns out. But that turned out to be, I thought it might be among the easiest of the group. But we had settled just about every conflict. And as you know, we're working very hard on Israel and Gaza. All that's happening over there. Complex, but it's going to get done.
Well, didn't he thought that Gaza would get done? Didn't explain how, but did anyone really think that he would? And on Ukraine, he thought that would be easy. And the fact that it has not been easy and the war goes on, he takes as a personal setback. Now, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, was, of course, next to him, and he was being asked why he was waiting for Donald Trump to leave before he announced or spoke of the recognition of Palestine as a state.
On the question of recognition, I made my position clear at the end of July as to the timing, which has got nothing to do with this state visit, and I've discussed it with the President, as you would expect amongst two leaders who respect each other and like each other and want to bring about a better solution in the best way that we can.
So lots of friendship, lots of amity between those two leaders, Lord Ricketts. And I suppose there's a perfectly good reason for all of that, isn't there, in this relationship when you look at what's at stake. But what did you actually make of what you heard? First of all, on Gaza.
I mean, I think overall that Number 10 were very pleased with that press conference. I think they did translate the rosy glow of the royal hospitality into a well-mannered and amiable press conference. And of course, Trump didn't agree with Starmer about recognition of Palestine, but he agreed to disagree in a perfectly straightforward way. And he didn't take it to a major disagreement. So I think that'll be a sigh of relief for the Prime Minister, who is intending to move to recognise the state of Palestine over the weekend, I gather, before the Jewish New Year, to have had that very mild exchange with Donald Trump on an issue where they do differ quite significantly.
Yes, I mean, I suppose, it is perfectly realistic to recognise there's a limit to what a British Prime Minister at any time can do to sway the mind of President Trump on an issue like Gaza. I mean, if you had been advising the Prime Minister on how to broach that subject and how to deal with that subject, what would you have told him, Peter, on how to do that?
Well, I think, first of all, to concentrate on the things which really matter to Donald Trump as well, the humanitarian suffering, getting the hostages out, but also tackling the suffering, the malnutrition, the starvation, the pictures of children which have clearly moved him, and to make the point about Palestine in a way that recognises that America isn't in the same place, but we're all actually, at the end of the day, looking to have a ceasefire, looking to get peace in the region. Donald Trump wants that as well. And we, the Europeans and the Arab states, have a plan for what happens when finally Netanyahu accepts the war can't go on any longer.
Yes.
And we look to Trump to get us to that point, because nobody else has any real influence over Netanyahu except Trump.
Yeah, I mean, there's reporting in the Wall Street Journal today that the president has told some of his aides at the White House that Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel is, and I'm cleaning this up, effing him. He's clearly angry and frustrated with Netanyahu. He's not the first president to feel that way. And when I spoke to Barbara Leaf, formerly of the State Department in Washington, you may know her, she suggested the way to somehow persuade President Trump to act on this and put real pressure on Netanyahu was when he's angry enough. Would you share that view?
Yeah, yes, I do. I mean, I think same with Putin, really. He's got to see that the guy is playing him for a fool and is playing him along and is saying one thing to him and then doing another. That's clearly angered him over Putin, and we should try and use the same kind of approach, the same tactic on Netanyahu as well. I don't think Netanyahu and Trump are particularly friends. I think rather Trump has checked out of trying to solve the Israel-Gaza issue, thinking it's too complicated. And I hope part of the discussion today will have been to refocus on that and to tell him that it really is important and there is a way through where Trump can come out looking like the deal maker that he keeps claiming to be.
And on Ukraine, it didn't it sound extraordinarily, I don't know, what's the right word, naive for the president to say, one, that he thought the ending of that war would be easy, and two, that he took it as a personal slight. And maybe there again, that's the avenue to persuading him to change his position and get tough on Putin.
Yeah, at least he's understood that it's not simple. He's got that, I think. He gave Putin all the pomp and ceremony of the Alaska summit. Putin let him down immediately. He's continued to rain drones and missiles on Ukraine. He's fired drones into Poland. And clearly Trump is fed up with him. Well, that's something. That's good. The idea that we can pressurize Russia by sanctioning the sale of oil to India and China, I mean, it's clearly there in American thinking. It came out slightly oddly in the press conference where he talked about trying to get the price of oil down as a way of putting pressure on Putin, whereas, of course, kind of what he's suggesting would actually put the price of oil up and make things more difficult. But there's something to work on there. He's up for further sanctions on Russia, further pressure on Putin. Let's try and convert the rather simple American ideas, sketchy American ideas, into something that will be workable and that will put the pressure on Russia and not have collateral damage on European countries.
I mean, it is a legitimate question to ask whether he really is, though, up for putting real pressure on Putin. He's now saying that NATO as a whole, all the NATO members, need to impose those sanctions on Russia before he says he'll do that. He will know that some of those members will not do that, which basically shuts off the option.
But yes, look, here's the point, though. The two NATO members who will have difficulty with that, Hungary and Slovakia, are close allies of the Americans. So I think let's try and get a coherent policy here. If he wants NATO to act like that, then he needs to put pressure on Orban and the Slovaks to move towards a common NATO position. Otherwise, I think there would quite quickly be a NATO position in favour of that.
All right. Lord Ricketts, always great to get your judgment. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want an end. I want the hostages released. And I think it's going to be okay. But it has been a brutal period of time. But this has been going on for a long time. This is not something that's over the last year, 2 years. But this has been for decades and decades. But we want it to end. We have to have the hostages back immediately. That's what the people of Israel want. They want them back. And we want the fighting to stop. And it's going to stop. But a lot of bad things. You know, Hamas said that they're going to put the hostages up as bait. They're going to put the hostages in front of any attack. And that's pretty brutal. We haven't heard that one in a long time. So we have to remember that. So I have a disagreement with the Prime Minister on that score. Okay? One of our few disagreements, actually.
Great. We absolutely agree on the need for peace and a roadmap because the situation in Gaza is intolerable. The hostages have been held for a very, very long time. And they must be freed. And we need aid to get into Gaza at speed. And so it's within that context of a plan for peace, which we're working hard on, which not only did we discuss this morning, but our two teams have been working together on, that the question of recognition needs to be seen. And so it's part of that overall package which hopefully takes us from the appalling situation we're in now to the outcome of a safe and secure Israel, which we do not have, and a viable Palestinian state. Thank you.